Okay. Hello, everyone. This is going to be Kira Show news. The coffee and food do not go well together. You burp. Anyway, this is going to be part 9 to what if Deku had bone manipulation. In the last part, we covered how Deku has effectively learned that his quirk, now that he is able to stabilize it, actually has powered him up quite a bit, quite more than he thought. And now let's skip to that race they were doing where they were trying to see what everyone has learned throughout their internships. Cut to them starting the race, and Bakugo and Todoroki and Mina. Basically, everyone who is doing better than Deku is doing what we're all doing. And then it's just Deku. He's running around trying to figure this out. People are thinking Deku's going to come in last, so he would create a pair of these wings. He'd actually jump up into the air off the side of a building and create the wings. And he did this in all one swift motion. And as soon as he does do this, he starts flying to the finish line. Everyone looks up and they see something just fly overhead real fast, and they question it, but they need to win. So cut to everyone in the screen room. All Might is surprised because Deku is actually doing better than he thought. Plus, he didn't realize this is what Deku learned how to do over his internship to protect him and Jiro from the rubble. And she's actually in this race with Deku. And she saw him doing this, so she tried to actually go faster and beat him. She powers up to 40% and proceeds to come in second place. Just barely. Deku barely beat her. But slide. He would land on the ground, somewhat slide, and stop himself. Like he basically kind of like I don't know if people have seen it before, but you know what I mean by sliding and stopping. He would do that, and he would win. All Might would tell them that they did a good job on the race, and Deku is actually done a lot better from where he's come from. And young Jiro has also done better because she's gotten a handle on her second quirk and is seemingly seemingly almost at 50% of All Might's level. Now then, I don't remember if it was. Yeah, okay, I believe it was in this part where I haven't seen My Hero Academia in quite a minute. I finished season 3, then I was waiting on season 4. I need to rewatch the series proper again because I want to go over a recap and actually listen to it in English this time because I listened to it in Japanese. I do want to learn Japanese, but right now I'm learning Irish, and after I learn Irish, I want to learn Spanish. Because apparently, whenever I tried speaking Irish to one of my coworkers, whenever I told them Irish is very complicated, I said something about a chicken sandwich, and he thought I said something about a fish and a cat, and I was confused by that. Okay, so cut to the combat test. It's Deku and Jiro versus All Might. Everyone is actually looking forward to see what they can do. So Deku and Jiro would go into the battlefield. All Might would do that 100% smash against the air, trying to create a sound wave. Deku would immediately bring his hands up and smash them together as hard as he can, creating a sound wave that would stop All Might's and seemingly nearly causing a tornado. And whenever Deku did do this, everyone in the exam room is looking and in shock that Deku just did something at All Might's level. And he is at 100%, and they're fighting with All Might. All Might does knock around Deku and Jiro a bit. He does break Deku's quirk once. And what I mean by that is he would run in and smash Deku in the chest, breaking the area right here, right where all this black stuff is on the secondary part, down. He would break that whole area and send Deku flying through a couple buildings. Deku would get back up and he would come in at All Might, and he actually does have his wings. But this time, not only are they attached to his back, he actually has a place he can put his arms on. Because let's say he actually made handles. Handles like he can set his arms in and actually control them better. Because just controlling the wings with the muscles in his back is quite difficult for him right now since he's barely getting used to it. But whenever he does use his hands, he is actually able to control them a lot better for now. And he does this, and he comes in at All Might. And he actually would create bones on the ends of his wings that look like feathers, and he would launch them at All Might. All Might would have to dodge these and do that. And Deku would then just keep firing projectiles, and Jiro would be coming in at All Might and hit him with a 50% smash, actually sending him through a building properly. So let's say he went through one or two, and everyone's still watching this, and they're realizing that these two are the strongest in their class because they're actually teaming up and teaming up and like actually holding their own against the number one hero. Now, All Might would be told that he is permitted to now take off his weights, and he would do this. And Deku and Jiro would actually have been a little cocky, and they would have started running for the exit a bit. Well, All Might would appear and kick Deku as hard as he can in his left arm, actually breaking it and hurting him a lot at 100%. And he would then knock Jiro out by, well, not knock her out, but All Might, he has never actually had to fight someone at 100% other than All For One. So let's just say this time he's getting a bit carried away, and he actually does knock out Jiro. Actually, no, let's do this. Jiro would actually have started screaming at All Might with her. She would have actually tried screaming at All Might and blasting All Might with her hands and mouth, like how I said Black Canary can. And oh, great. They're back on the chat. Crap. But after that happens, All Might would essentially knock Jiro out because she's not giving up, and he knows that what Jiro has done with her voice can actually make her lose it permanently. Excuse me for one moment. Oh my god, I hate that. I have to redo this again. Okay, that was one solid second for you guys, but I just accidentally stopped the recording, and where I left off was that Jiro could lose her voice if she does that over and over again. But after this, Jiro she was actually using 100, not 100%. She was using around 60 to 62% of One for All with her quirk, and she was actually creating massive sound waves because All Might is only at 70% of his One for All power. People seem to not remember that a lot for what ifs, but Deku and Jiro are essentially holding their own against All Might. But Jiro turning her power up this high, she is essentially ripping every muscle fiber in her body for having it powered up this high. And whenever she does blast All Might this much, hmm, whenever she does blast All Might this much, he essentially he's able to get through it, and eventually he's standing in front of her while she's still blasting him, and he's still in front of her, and she essentially falls over, exhausted and unable to talk. So she's just on the ground, huffing and puffing, trying to say something, but all that comes out of her mouth whenever she does try and talk is just blood. And after that, All Might would try and find Deku. And I don't know if I specified it in the last part or this part because I have to edit these two together now. But Deku, or not Deku, All Might actually had to remove the weights he was told to keep on. And now Deku, he is still under the rubble, is what All Might thinks, because he may have knocked him out. So he thinks he's won. So he would tell Nezu to call the match because he is actually exhausted because he's actually had to push himself over 70% of his power back over to around 75 to 78. So he's actually had to try quite a bit. Now then, Nezu would say that Deku said not to call the match. And All Might would say, but he is unconscious. He's not moving. He knocked him out, didn't he? Nezu would say he did not. And as soon as Nezu says this, Deku would come out of the ground and pull All Might underground. Now, everyone saw All Might disappear on the monitors, and they're still kind of confused because he just defeated Jiro, and now he left off. Is he going to go do some hero work? But no. All of a sudden, everything just starts shaking. And I mean everything. Like, for a minute, it was just a small shake. The next, the entire room started shaking. And everyone's questioning this. And Principal Nezu says, oh, they must be fighting again. And people are now realizing that Deku is holding his own against All Might and is actually producing these earthquakes. So they would end up coming out of the ground. All Might would be sent flying through a building, and they would see Deku at 100% now. Because when he broke his quirk and stabilized it, this became his normal form. And this is him around 60 to 70% of his power. Kind of like how Jiro is able to go that certain area. And now, let's see. He is actually powered up to 90 to 100% of his power. Actually, let's go with 100. And he actually has his wings tucked behind his back. His eyes are covered, his face is covered, his body is completely hardened. He just looks like a solid white avatar. that is after All Might. Because this whole area around where his ribs are, where that solid piece is, that is not there. That is all bulked more outward with certain spikes popping out. This area around his shoulders is all spiked up. This whole area is linked together. And his legs, the muscle right back here, there would actually be something connecting those two. And Deku's hair, I don't know if I specified this, but he would actually have long hair in this what if. And it would just look all fused together with his body. And Kirishima and everyone would be looking at this and asking him if he can do that. He would not know, and he would say he has to figure that out. So, yeah, Deku then would rush All Might as fast as he can, shooting spikes at him, and doing all that. So, he would be fighting All Might on equal ground, and he would then punch All Might square in the face as hard as he can, sending him through about 5 to 7 buildings. And when he did, everyone is asking if that did it. So Deku would know that All Might's time is almost up because he was actually smoking quite a bit whenever he took down Jiro. But everyone just thought that that might be the heat All Might is producing. So he would do that, and now All Might. Don't tell me that's still recording. All Might would then be. Deku actually knocked out All Might, but All Might now has a. He now has a. Like, well, not scar, but. Hmm. But now All Might is knocked out. Deku and Jiro would then leave the area and actually pass because they would have actually captured All Might. Either way, they would have won, but they decided to leave because if they did go to All Might, it would have shown that he would actually have shrunk down. And All Might was actually able to get out of the rubble and out of the building before he did shrink down. And he actually got out of the area because let's say there were sewers, because that would actually make sense for a fake place that has sewers. But he would have actually gotten out of the area through one of the sewer systems, and they would have won. Now, I kind of made this part longer because I have to now cut these two pieces together, and this is going to be part 9. I should finish everything in part 10, but part 10 is going to have to be a bit longer. Alright. I actually have time. I can explain this. So then after that, everyone would come up to them and ask them what kind of, like, what are they? Because they essentially both were able to hold their own against All Might and actually have to push him to actually go all out. And Deku, whenever he unhardens his quirk or turns off his quirk, as soon as he does that, he spits out a lot of blood and then begins to fall over because one of his kneecaps actually did break and fuse together whenever it healed, and so did actually his left hand, because that's the one he punched All Might with. And people are realizing that Deku actually used everything he had against All Might, along with Jiro, since she's not able to talk. And people are asking Deku, well, why can't Jiro talk? Okay, I'm gonna have to cut that out. People are asking, why can't Deku talk? And yeah, Deku would explain that Jiro told him during the sports festival, that whenever she does do that with her voice, she can actually lose it for a while and not be able to talk. because of the force and strain it puts on her voice since she's never used her quirk like that. He would explain that during their training, she had trouble using her hands and her feet to focus her quirk in, to, to focus her quirk on, because as soon as she started using her hands for her sound waves, she actually had quite a bit of muscle cramps and almost hurt herself a lot. But since he was there to help her regulate her power throughout her body, she kind of got used to it faster. So her voice may return in the next couple days, but for now she just can't talk. And Jiro would just like sort of nod at this and give a thumbs up, and they would both go to see Recovery Girl. And whenever they do go to see Recovery Girl, they actually would. Well, actually, Deku is still carrying Jiro, and Jiro actually would grab Deku by the face and kiss him in front of everyone. All the guys are cheering Deku on, and all the girls are just blushing and going, ooh. Yeah, you know what I mean. Doing that to them. Deku's face would have turned red, her face would have turned red, and they would have actually rushed away to recover Girl. And everyone would have commented on how it's funny how the two strongest people of their class are actually a couple. And Momo or Chaco, or actually no, Mina. I could actually no Sue. I could actually see Sue saying this. She would say, "I wonder what kind of quirk their kid would have." And Deku would have actually overheard this, and he would have turned around and just, well, not turned around, but he would have stopped running for a second, and then he would have started running again. Because he was actually going out of the room whenever Sue said this. And he actually would like to know he actually does not know the answer that would be. Anyway, this is going to be Mitsuki signing off. Manuki signing off. I am going to have to edit these two together.